It's a very interesting question because for many years I didn't really have a clear answer. I've just been told, in fact, that now Poirot has been sold in every single country in the world, which I find quite extraordinary. What is it about him? Is it the fact that he can get on with everybody? Is it the fact that he's a foreigner in England and therefore he can mix with all strata of the English society? He can show his dislike for the aristocracy sometimes. He can be very nice to people lower down on the scale, like servants, and he's very good with what is known as below stairs people. He's very charming, he's very polite, he can be very angry. But I think perhaps what makes him very enduring and endearing for people is that he's a great moral compass. People feel very safe with him. He's not going to do anything that's going to upset you by any aggression or anything immoral or anything like that. You know that he's right in his world, and that he's got his world sorted. Yes, he's also lonely, and I think that's quite attractive to people, to see a man like that, obviously without any love life or anything like that. And I get people writing to me and say, oh, I wish he was married, and things like that. They get very involved with him. But I think that and his eccentricities, I think his charm, I think his love of people, his interest in people. The other thing is that in her books, as well as in the series, what I've tried to bring out is a quality that Agatha Christie describes in him that I also think makes him quite interesting and makes him attractive to watch. He's a wonderful listener. Now, you know, when you're with someone who really listens well to you, it's a very, very attractive quality because their attention is right on you. And very often, Agatha Christie actually describes the way Poirot listens. And what she says is that when you're with Poirot, you are aware of him listening to you very hard, because he's not only listening to you and what you say, he's hearing what you mean. So in other words, his eyes are right on you, looking for anything that will give him some indication of what is behind what you're saying. In other words, he's totally focused on you, even in a crowded room. And I think that makes him a very nice person to be with. My accent took quite a long time to perfect because, this is rather a complex answer. When I was studying the role, I was taken in by the fact that everybody thinks, well, most people think that Poirot is French, and it becomes a sort of running gag that he says, no, I'm Belgian, and it's sort of put through most of her books at some time. And then so I had to say to myself, well, what makes a French, why do they think he's French? Because he is Belgian. Why do they think he's French? Well, obviously he's a French-speaking Belgian. But if you listen, which I did, to people and the radio, to French-speaking Belgium, they're quite guttural. And you wouldn't automatically say, are you French? So my accent had to be more French than Belgian, and yet bits of Belgian that people may be able to identify that I'm doing a Belgian accent. So parts of it were a little bit more guttural than ordinary French accent. And also the placing of where he speaks is very important, because we all speak, everybody speaks from a different place in their body. Either you have a head voice or you have a chest voice, and etc. And my voice, naturally, is quite low, and his voice isn't. His voice is up in his head because he's a walking brain. So the actual accent took a very, very long time, because in the end, I was listening to, obviously, English radio, but I was listening to Belgian radio, Walloon radio, that is the French-speaking Belgium. I also listened to the English-speaking Belgium, and I listened to the French, So where do I place him in France? It can't be Paris, because Paris has a very, very distinctive accent. So I chose the countryside of France, and in the mountains and in the hills. So it was country French, Belgian, city Belgian, and placing. So people could say, "You're French." He could say, "No, I'm Belgian." I think it's inevitable when one is adapting so many stories, over 70 stories. There will be stories that are more difficult to adapt for television, for film, than others. And it's true that some of the die-hard readers of some of her books have said, "Oh, why have you taken the story so outside the book?" That is because if we just did the book, it wouldn't be interesting on film. So whatever the adapters, and we have wonderful writers, have done, is base their stories on the Agatha Christie stories. And that's why it says Agatha Christie and this story based on Agatha Christie. Because you can't say it's pure, the story, because the story pure and simple, because a lot of them wouldn't make good television. So yes, we've taken it outside, or they have taken it outside, the writers have taken it outside, and done what they think are more interesting locations, and etc. Period drama takes you out of yourself and into another world, and it's always exciting for an actor to play in period drama. I mean, I know lots of friends in Downton Abbey and that sort of thing. And when I was doing The Way We Live Now, and going into that world, the Victoriana world, and well, even on stage with Shakespeare and all the rest of it, when I was with the Royal Shakespeare Company, it's great to do period drama because it's also very interesting from an actor's point of view, because you have to learn about that world. But you don't have to just learn what your world is. You have to learn how you fit into the whole of that world. So you have to learn about their manners, you have to learn about their art, you have to learn about their music, you have to learn about their politics, attitudes to the opposite sex. I mean, we look at this century, look at last century, how things have changed. So you have to go back in time and you have to enter that world. And it's a great pleasure for an actor to be given a period role for that purpose. I mean, it's lovely. Well, they are stories that are not necessarily sequential. They don't follow one another. They're part of Agatha Christie's canon. They are Agatha Christie's stories. They are mysteries. Some are murders. Well, they're all murders or robberies or that sort of thing. So they fit into her canon very, very nicely. And these are the ones we've never filmed. So basically, this is the run-up to Curtain, Poirot's last case. That's what makes these 5 special.